Michael, come on. We got a podcast to write. Come on, it's gonna be a Michael and Josh adventure. Michael and Josh episode.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Anirtainment. As always, I'm Michael.
I'm Josh.
We have a very special episode today for you, talking about Rick and Morty.
Yeah, we got some interviews coming up later in the show as well. This is gonna be really awesome. We got 5 people that we interviewed?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they all did. I praised them. They all did a really good job. They put up with us for a few minutes so that we could get these interviews. But right now, your spoiler warning: if you haven't seen Rick and Morty, go and watch it now.
So today, along with those interviews, we're also going to be obviously throwing our own opinions in there. We'll talk about a few other things like our favorite parts of the show, characters, bits, all that stuff, talk about the plot and whatnot. So I think we should just get right into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to talk about the plot, or how it's not just one overarching plot, although there probably is one in the background, but it's the show is very episodic.
Right.
Each episode is something different, and they might do some callbacks to previous episodes.
Which they do sometimes.
But there's usually never, consistent plot running through it, unlike other shows, like Ruby that we talked about last week.
Right. Even Camp is still a little bit of a running plot, since it's give or take.
Ruby is definitely more of what you would think.
It's more,
plot
it's more story dependent.
Mm-hmm. Other shows like Rick and Morty, they're episodic, or like Family Guy, Simpsons.
Right.
Those types
Cleveland
of shows.
Show, American Dad, all those, yeah.
South Park.
So, yeah, I mean, this show kind of came up, a couple years ago just by storm. It was one of those ones that everybody just took a liking to. It popped onto the scene of, pop culture, everything, mainstream media, so fast, and was just so warmly received with everyone.
The premise of the show, for those of you who decided to ignore our spoiler warning, is there's this guy. His name is Rick. He is
he's a genius.
Yeah, he is a genius who is also. He tries to make himself seem like he's really heartless and cold and doesn't really care about a whole lot.
Right.
And he's smartest person in the universe. He's got this portal gun that lets him go to other universes, other places within his own universe,
other dimensions, everything.
Yeah. And he usually goes on adventures with his grandson Morty.
Right. Hence the name Rick and Morty.
Yeah. But Rick also has a daughter named Beth and her husband Jerry, and they're also the parents of Morty and his older sister Summer.
Right.
And they always get into shenanigans every episode.
Shenanigans is a really good word for it.
Yeah. Beth and Jerry's marriage isn't the most stable.
Yeah.
And then Summer.
Man, Summer's a really interesting character. I mean, she takes on that, if you think of the girl in high school that wanted to be popular, it doesn't play a huge role like we've seen in other shows where it takes on this storyline. She's just kind of that persona. She just kind of gives off that persona, and all that her ideals and what she's thinking, because she is a high school student, always plays some sort of interesting factor into the adventures that they have.
Mm-hmm. There are some episodes where she really cares about her appearance to get the attention of some boy in high school. Other times where she tries to be more mature. She has emotional breakdown in one episode, I think at the beginning of season 2.
Right. Like we had mentioned earlier, it's very episodic. So they go on all sorts of adventures, different adventures, most of them outer space, some sort of time traveling, or not time traveling.
Not time travel.
Some sort of interdimensional, going from dimension to another dimension, or going to outer space in one dimension, or leaving one and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So there are some reoccurring one though, like interdimensional television, or I feel like I'm missing one.
Well, there were 2 interdimensional televisions. There was the what was the one Morty wanted to do? It was in season 3 with those superheroes.
The Vindicators.
The Vindicators, that's what it was.
It. Yeah. So the Vindicators, they're that group of heroes somewhere in outer space with 1,000 ants or 1,000,000 ants.
Something like that. It's this guy made out of ants.
He's literally just ants.
Mm-hmm. You have, was it Spirit Train?
Yeah.
Ghost Train.
Ghost Train.
He makes ghost trains. There was...
so many different random ones.
I don't remember his name, but he looked just like an adult human.
Yeah.
I remember his name, and there was that one chick who was like, I forgot her name, but she's all like space powers and whatnot.
Yeah. So
cosmic powers.
Right. So they show up in other episodes as well. So they have, it's like we had mentioned earlier again, reoccurring themes and reoccurring characters and stuff like that. Mr. Poopy Butthole for one, and well, Meeseeks only shows up in one episode.
He's in the background of another episode, but he's
Yeah.
really prominent in only one episode, just in season 1, I think.
Right. So we got into a little bit of that, and just for the sake of conversation, what's your favorite show bit? Like, what's your favorite running gag that they do?
International TV is really good. I'm kind of sad they didn't bring that back in season 3, but they used Marty's mind blowers instead.
Yeah.
Which was still pretty cool. All the different, like, usually it's a Rick and Morty adventure, but sometimes they'll have like a Rick and Summer adventure, a Rick and Beth adventure, Rick and Jerry adventure.
Yeah, I think they've done one with every single member of the family at some point.
Mm-hmm. I probably have to go to International TV because International TV was awesome.
I would have to go with the same. Even though I don't want to consider Morty's mind blowers to be interdimensional television because it obviously wasn't.
Yeah, Rick breaks the fourth wall and says, we're not doing interdimensional television, instead we're doing Marty's mind blowers.
Yeah, which was it had the same format where it was like, oh, it's all these different short clips of things that have happened before, which was pretty funny. So I'm going to have to go as well with interdimensional television. There were a lot of really funny things that happened, a lot of really random. And if you look it up on the internet, like some of the stuff how they got the things in interdimensional television is like, have you heard the story of how they get the ideas for that?
No, I haven't.
So the writers and the creators of the show just get high. Like they get really high and then record lines. They just go into the studio and record lines, and then the animators have to animate over whatever they recorded.
That is amazing.
They just go with whatever they get.
That is amazing.
And it makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Because things in international TV are so crazy. You have the Ants in My Eyes Johnson.
Yep.
There's that. And then there's that one really long one. It was like that door salesman. He's just
real
selling
fake doors.
Yeah, real fake doors.
Yeah.
And he does his bit. And then the commercial keeps going. It's just him like leaving the studio and then going to his house. And then doing another...
He like walks right into the studio and he's back into the commercial. It's fantastic. So... we kind of got our opinions of the shows. We talked about characters, but we didn't get our favorite characters. What's your favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character.
Let's go without the main family. We always do like these stipulations of like not the main characters. What's your favorite reoccurring character?
Favorite reoccurring character, Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Oh yeah, okay, he's
Mr. Poopy Butthole. He showed up in one episode in season. I think it was season 1 with parasites and making everybody think.
Right.
That all these people were real when they weren't.
Yeah.
It was just the main few.
Yeah, and that the parasites you only had good memories of the parasites. You didn't have any bad. Mm-hmm. And in that episode, they had in the opening sequence, they had Mr. Poopy Butthole with all the characters, which was all bad memories, in theory, except for Beth, which later we find out that, I'm not going to spoil that episode because it was really funny.
Yeah, but then he shows up at the end of season 2 and at the end of season 3 because at the end of each episode they do like this little end credit scene.
Yeah,
and at the end of season 2 and season 3, he comes up. He's like, "Oh wow, that was a good season, wasn't it?"
Yeah, they break the fourth wall a lot.
He breaks the fourth wall, and he's just like, "Oh, I can't wait!" And he kind of gives like a little time, like a little how he tells us about how long the hiatus is going to be. Like at the end of season 2, he's like, "Oh, we'll see you in like 2 years," and something like that. And like in season 3, he's like, "Oh, I don't know, we're gonna come back. Could be 2 years, could be 5.
Yeah,
whatever. I don't know."
Yeah.
So, and like there's even a progression. Like at the end of season 2, he was still recovering from his injuries from Beth, but at the end of season 3, he's married and has a child.
Yeah. So there's obviously been a long time since then.
Yeah, it shows a nice time progression.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, man.
That's not one of the main 5.
Yeah.
At least not Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Because those are the 2 main characters that we see most often.
I'm really a fan of Mr. Meeseeks. I thought his episode was hilarious.
All the different Meeseeks.
And he's such a funny character because like his concept is like his entire concept is you press the button, he comes into existence, and then you give him a task, he does the task, and then he just poofs away. And that's kind of his life. And like, the longer Meeseeks live is like, wow, why am I still alive? Well, I can't believe I still have to be here. We've got to complete this task.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the lines he says is, life is pain.
Existence is pain.
Existence is pain.
Yeah. And it's, so they don't stick around for long, but they're really funny characters. And, you know.
Their whole point is to get a task done and then die.
Yeah.
They want to die.
It's a very funny concept character. And so many good lines.
You can't give them something really hard to do. You gotta be something simple.
Yeah, simple tasks. But yeah, so we asked some of these questions and wanted to get the fans' opinions of it. I mean, we're fans too, but we wanted to get some other people's opinion because we knew it was a popular show. So we asked them a few questions. One of them, what do you think of the show? Do you like it? Not like it? Which a lot of them said they liked it.
We also asked them what their favorite character was. We didn't give them any stipulations, so a lot of them did say Rick was their favorite character,
right.
Which we'll get into, and they'll explain why.
And then we wanted to, this was the interesting part of it, we wanted to make it a little fun, and we asked them to do an impression of one of the characters. It didn't have to be the one that they liked, but a lot of them did the ones that they liked anyways.
And then lastly, we asked them what they thought Eva Morty's big plan was, because that's something we haven't brought up yet, is Eva Morty. He showed up in, I think, only 2 episodes. But he is definitely a reoccurring character and will play a bigger role later on.
Right.
There's so much around him. We really don't know a whole lot about him. All we know is that
he's there and he's evil.
Yeah, he's there. He's evil, and he took over the Citadel of Ricks, which is this big citadel that's in like deep outer space or something. That all the Ricks from all the different universes were there. They had all their Mortys with them, and it's just big like society of Ricks basically.
Right.
And Morty came in and changed all of that, and he became like the president there or something.
Right.
Or like the leader. He's trying to change everything.
Yeah. So first off, what did you guys think of the show, and did you like it?
It's fantastic. I started out, I didn't hate it, but I just like, we were up, during Warhammer night, just hanging out and playing around. And my one friend John put on Rick and Morty, and at first I wasn't paying attention up until the Mr. Poopy Butthole episode, and then it pulled me in, and I'm like, what is this show all about? And it was just amazing to learn all the characters.
I love this show. It's probably one of my favorite shows that's currently still coming out, as it's just a lot of stupid funny, and I enjoy stupid funny.
Next up, what's your favorite character?
My favorite character is probably Mr. Poopy Butthole. The most random character I have ever seen in a TV show in my life. That's the only reason I like him that much, is because he's just out there, makes no sense whatsoever. It's awesome.
My favorite character would have to be, it's cliche, but it's Rick and Morty, because Rick may be an asshole, but he really does care for his family and really does care for the people around him.
Third, can you guys do an impression of that character or your favorite character?
It's Mr. Meeseeks. I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me! Hey, it's Mr. Meeseeks!
Oh, Morty, oh man, I'm gonna need to take a shit, but I'm gonna need you to watch. You gotta watch me, so the replicants won't sneak up on me. Oh man.
And lastly, what do you think Eva Morty's big plan is?
I think Evil Morty is planning to kill all the Ricks. That's what I think he's doing. He's killing a lot of Mortys too, but I think his end game is to kill all the Ricks.
Ooh, I think Evil Morty's big plan is he basically, from what I'm thinking, he just wants to overthrow all the Ricks and make it so there are no more Ricks in the universe. He just wants to kill all the Ricks. Universe of only Mortys.
Now that final point was probably one of the most interesting ones, and we got a lot of answers that I wasn't really expecting, and I didn't even personally think of. Like, Evil Morty is such an important, I don't want to say important character because he's not like, playing specifically strong role yet.
Yeah, he's been in only a couple episodes, but he's definitely gonna come back in the future. He has to.
Right. He's a very powerful force and like a force to be reckoned with. So a lot of people brought up some really interesting points. Before we go any farther though, special thanks to everyone that answered our questions, took the time out. Adam, AJ, Frank,
Rachel, and Josh. Not that Josh, different Josh.
Yeah, not me. There were some commonalities between some of the answers. A lot of them said like, he's the Rick Morty, which makes a lot of sense. He's very scheming and conniving with a lot of things. We see that he made like a robotic Rick and did all that stuff with the Mortys and everything to shield himself.
He's probably the smartest Morty.
Yes, for sure.
Most diabolical. All the other Mortys seem kind of scared, not smart. Or even if they were, they probably have like a good moral code, good sense of like justice. That they'd be good.
Right.
This one, that he's evil. He wants things for himself. He wants to, like a lot of them said, and I kind of agree. They want to take out either all the Ricks or maybe just the main Rick that we see, who is from Universe C-137. Speaking of which, some of our interviewers even mentioned that they thought that this Morty, Evil Morty, was the main Rick's first Morty, because as we've seen in the show, a lot of Ricks have actually gone through multiple Mortys.
Right.
On the Citadel, they have this this school for Mortys to teach Mortys how to become
better Mortys.
Essentially,
yeah.
Yeah. And they think a lot of them thought that this Evil Morty was Rick's first Morty.
Right. C-137
Yeah, which
Morty,
I thought was a
essentially
pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, and I mean that brings up a really good point too, because then we could see later down the road, like, what did Rick do to this Morty that just tipped him off? Or like, what did Rick do to make him that smart? Or what did he teach him that made him that smart? Or was that Morty just that smart to begin with? So we see a lot of that. And then we also kind of, part of that question, we wanted to see what was going on, what the fans thought was going to happen down the road. And we had discussed this a little bit between ourselves before recording and stuff. But a lot of them had said that Evil Morty plans to just kill off pretty much everyone. We had everything from extremes like the Evil Morty wants to kill off all Ricks and Mortys. He just wants to get rid of the whole idea of Rick and Morty, take them out from every single universe. Like, he just hates that fact.
He may just want to get back at just C-137 or Rick, the main Rick of the show.
Right. So now that we've talked about what they're thinking, what are you thinking? Like, where do you think the show's heading?
I don't know. They could do really anything at this point. Dan Harmon and I don't remember the name of the other guy who helped create the show, but they could honestly go and do an infinite number of things right now. I'd definitely like to see another interdimensional television, interdimensional TV.
Yeah, I was a little upset when I didn't see the interdimensional television 3, which would have been in the season 3. I was okay with the Morty's mind blowers, but interdimensional television.
That kind of gave us
funny.
a little look into things that happened before episode 1 of season 1.
Right.
Things that we didn't see. Maybe adventures they went on between episodes, or adventures they went on while we were focusing on other characters in episodes. I don't really know where else the show can go. Obviously, more Evil Morty, get more background on him, and find out more about him and his relation to the main Rick, if there even is one. Outside of that, I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously we're going to see more shenanigans, more crazy adventures, probably that we've never even thought of or even think are possible at the moment.
Of course.
I mean, they always surprise me. Like, there wasn't an episode where I wasn't like, wow, that was a pretty predictable adventure. No, there was always something like, wow, this is so out there, but it's really good and it all makes sense and it all fits really well together. Like you said, we're gonna see more of Evil Morty. Like, he just got to the Citadel, and he just took control. So what's he gonna do with that control? Heck, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland.
Roiland, that's right.
Yeah, is the other creator. They could completely surprise us in like C1 or what? Not C137, but the Evil Morty could just straight up be like, I'm in charge, and that's it. Or like, maybe he's just trying to turn things around. Maybe he's not actually evil. Maybe he's just trying to fix things or something along those lines. In whatever whatever he sees fit, obviously. Okay, so I mean, I really enjoyed the show. And I think we both did. I think a lot of people enjoyed this show. But the real question is, what do you rate this show?
Out of 10, I rate this show. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I was thinking about the same thing as well, right around an 8.
It's really good. It's not perfect by any means. Nothing is perfect. So I don't think we've given any show we talked about a 10 out of 10 yet. Even then,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be perfect. It'd be really good. It's not perfect. Sometimes I feel some of the jokes don't get through, or sometimes it can drag on a bit. But for the most part, it's excellent. You should go watch it. It's
Yeah.
really good. I don't know when season 4 is coming out. I don't want to wait that long. However long it's going to be. I want it now.
Yeah, it's going to
But
be...
unfortunately, I have to wait.
Yeah, I think the hiatus between 2 and 3 was almost, like a year and a half, if not a little more?
Well, they did something weird. They had episode 1 of season 3 in like March, but didn't bring out the rest of the season until like
That's
September.
right. That's right.
For some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was that first episode that sparked that whole Szechuan sauce thing.
Yeah, you're right. And then which actually was brought back for a day. We tried to stop in State College and weren't even close.
Nope.
Yeah.
They were sold out. But they are bringing it back in like December. For more than one day, they'll have more of it so people can go and get it.
Yeah.
And so we'll try and get some then.
Yeah. We'll have a review for when that comes out.
So what did you think of the show? What are you gonna give it as a rating out of 10?
I like I said, I got to give it like an 8 out of 10. It is really good. It has some really good funny moments. As far as like a comedy goes, this is up there.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some jokes that like don't exactly hit as hard as others do, but you know, for every one joke that isn't quite as funny, there's one later or earlier in the episode that's probably twice as funny, if not one of the funniest moments of the show. So
I agree.
it's really good. There's not a whole lot of storyline, which isn't necessarily a problem, and you know, you don't always look for in a comedy.
Each episode has its own self-contained story. That's why it's
Right.
episodic.
Yeah. So it is nice to just like, oh, I'm going to watch an episode of Rick and Morty. And you can watch just one episode. It doesn't feel like you have to keep watching.
Yeah, and if
You
just
should,
if
but,
you
like-
jump in the middle of a season, it's not like you're gonna miss anything from before.
Yeah, not a lot.
No,
You might,
yeah.
if you
There might
jump
be-
too far forward, you
yeah.
might miss a little bit of evil Morty, but you
There
can
might
still
be a couple
understand the general
references you
premise.
don't get, but other than that, you should be fine.
Exactly.
Well, I do recommend you start from season 1, episode 1, and watch all the way through.
Yeah, as with any show, though.
So how long do you think this hiatus is going to be? We talked about between seasons 2 and 3. I don't know what the hiatus was between seasons 1 and 2, but obviously they're on hiatus now. How long do you think this is going to last?
Yeah.
They
Man.
work. They work on the show when they can because I know Dan Harmon does other things. Tristan Roiland does other things.
Right.
So you know, but they kind of do it whenever they get around to it. So how long do you think this one's going to be?
I want to say it's going to be under 2 years.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it's not 2 years.
Optimistically, I'd like to see it within the next year, but that's being optimistic. The pessimistic side of things, I don't think we're going to see it for another 2 years. I'd give it the range between 1.5, right around a year and a half.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I don't want it to be that long. I would like to see it come back, within a year. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I think it's going to be a year and a half, probably closer to 2 years. I don't want to wait that long, though.
I know. It was a good show, and it's going to be hard to wait for it, but it'll be worth it once the wait
We've
is
got
over.
other shows to hold us over for now.
Exactly. I mean, we've pretty much covered everything. Again, special thanks to everyone that we interviewed for taking time
Yeah,
out.
you guys were awesome.
What are we discussing next time? We're going to say next time because we don't know if we're doing next week or it'll be the
We might
week
go on a
after.
hiatus of our own. If we do, it's just
It'll be short. It'll be short.
It'll be super short, we promise.
Yeah.
Topic for that one, I think, is still up in the air.
Yeah.
We have a couple shows in mind.
In 2 weeks, we do have one on.
The Hanna-Barbera era of cartoons.
I'm super excited about
Yes,
that one.
that's your Jetsons, your Flintstones, your Scooby-Doo, your Tom and Jerry's,
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
It's gonna be great.
Your early Cartoon Network shows and
Things that really set into motion are Rick and Morty's and everything that came
Yeah.
after it. So
and that one will also be that episode will probably be a bit longer than what we're doing now.
yeah, a little bit. We're gonna go a little bit more into the history side of things and how, especially art style. That's really important with those older cartoons.
And
but-
kind of the impact those shows had on what we're watching now. Rick and Morty, Camp Ruby, all that
Yeah.
stuff. All the American animation, because I don't know how much of an impact Hanna-Barbera had on Japanese anime and whatnot.
we can look into that too. But no promises on that side of things. But until then, thank you guys for listening. I'm Josh,
Michael.
and we'll see you guys next week.